You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. This is the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz, and got a special treat for you, a little roundtable. We haven't done one in quite a while, but I'm really thrilled to have our good friends David Morgan. He's the silver guru, themorganreport.com, and Darryl Schoon, amazing writer, and not writing that much these days, but you find his work at drschoon.com. The links are in the show notes. And Darryl, when I had you on last time, you made a statement that raised the ire of the Miami Plumbers Union, if you could believe it. You said that pretty much the economy was a toilet and, pretty much the plumbing was shot. And, that you've been using that analogy for a long time. It's always stuck with me. But here's what they said. They said, we fix our mess. We don't blame the electrician. And once we flush, it's gone. The Fed, you never know where their waste product is going to wind up, except it always finds a home on the Fed's balance sheet. So be nice to plumbers. You need them.
Yeah, you know what it is? It reinforces the truism that I've learned ever since, being a public talk speaker, is that people are listening that you don't know are there.
Hey, so David, maybe it's not a plumbing disaster, but the economy is certainly a dumpster fire, right?
Yeah, it is. Before we start, Kerry and everybody, I just want to let you know I'm doing this from my phone. I have absolutely zero internet today, so I'm not in the usual office. I'm doing the best I can. I'm fine personally, but your life just revolves around these electrons, and when you lose them, it can be a hardship. So anyway, I'll do the best I can. Yeah, I've said for a long time that the economy's in a contraction, and I'm not leveraging out of the possibility of a contraction that goes into a depression. I mean, everyone's looking for more and more inflation. We're lowering interest rates. Inflation is accelerating. Commodity prices are going up. All those are facts. I never argue facts. But if you can't pay your grocery bill and you can't make the car payment, we're getting more and more of a move toward a depression. The economists had to make up the word stagflation for it. There wasn't such a thing as having ongoing inflation and freezing wages or wages going down. And that's basically what we have. So I think we've got a mess. I do think we're pushing toward a two-tiered society. It's the rich and everybody else. The middle class is getting wiped out. I know in a very strong bull market, I usually don't have to do any advertising. I get new subscribers. I am still losing more than I'm gaining. I'm not complaining, but that's a big wow. When I tell people that, they can't believe it. And it's true. So I think that people are just fed up. And I think some of the long-term holders are seeing $44 silver and saying, what the heck? It might go to 50, might go to 100, but my credit card bill's at 18%. I'm going to cash out and pay it down or whatever. So back to you, Kerry.
Yeah, so that's very true. You see that, and I don't know if it's by accident or design, but Darryl, plumbing and electrical and dumpster analogies aside, what the heck is really going on from your viewpoint with the economy?
Well, I want to tag along with what David brought up about the calling this a stagflation. One thing that people don't know, which I ran across, it was rather stunning, is the word recession only appeared after the Great Depression, because every contraction before the Great Depression was called a depression. There was an expansion and a depression. It was like that. But after the Great Depression, that was the bugaboo word, all right? And deflation was the bugaboo word. So they came up with this word recession, all right? The Fed basically is a cheerleader for the bankers, all right? That's why they're always trying to say it's optimistic. They're always trying to say we're going to grow our way out of this. My theory about economists and their prognosis, what they say is that They're only interviewing the economists who still have a job. I mean, if they interviewed an economist who got laid off last week, they'd get a totally different picture. And I think what David has brought to the table is what Ray Dalio talked about this morning. And Dalio is one of the big money boys, okay? And what one of the things I wanted to bring up is that all three of us we've been on the margins, okay? We've been on the margins since the very beginning because we saw the problems with money, we saw the macroeconomic problems, and we've been on the margins. And now I think all of us will agree that what we talked about and what we were seeing 20 years ago is in the headlines now.
For sure. So,
that's been a good sign.
David, they say, the difference between a depression and a recession. Recessions when you're out of work, a depression's when I'm out of work, or the definition of minor versus major surgery. Minor surgery is surgery that you have. Major surgery is surgery that I have. But the pain is real here, Yep. We're not imagining this. And I think the gaslighting that the whole system, it seems to be their biggest product is gaslighting. It's wearing thin now. People are getting attuned to it. Maybe being broke kind of wakes you up to reality, but don't you think that people are really becoming aware of the illusion and no longer buying into it?
I definitely agree with you, Kerry. First of all, the internet has become censored, as we all know. But before it was censored, it was, free speech, mostly at least. But nonetheless, I think this fake news and that meme carried. And I think a lot of people just are giving up. I mean, I was taught early on not to believe everything you read, not to believe everything you hear, or even what you see. I mean, go to a magic show sometime. That rabbit, didn't come out of the hat, but sure looked like it did. So I think cynical, really, if I can use that word, because it's like, we're doing fine. I mean, look at what Powell says all the time, the Fed head. And, the data, it's just ridiculous. As Darryl said, it's a cheerleading organization that's there to protect the banks. They're not there to provide monetary stability. And they really aren't as powerful as they act. It's kind of a Wizard of Oz scenario because they do set the discount window. They do set the federal funds rate. But the market at some point could say, you know what? I don't believe it. These dollars become worthless, and going toward worthless. And the interest rates go up even though they lower them. And that has taken place, and it may take place again. So I'm on your side. I think everybody keep doing what you're doing. They got to be educated or re-educated or get a little bit of, let's say, ability to separate the wheat from the chaff, because as I think under the Obama administration, and I don't like any of them, so you know that. So I'm not siding either part. I dislike them all equally. I'm very equal in that matter. Regardless, I forget the name of the bill. Darryl probably does know, but it's when you can put propaganda out to the American people.
Yeah, right.
And they lie to us constantly. And I think we're past the tipping point, Kerry. I think the majority of Americans know that now. Not maybe it's the details, but they know they're being lied to more than they've told the truth.
Yeah, and there's no limit to the lies. Darryl, I heard that Jerome Powell was starting a line of perfumes. It's going to be called Ode to Fed Flush.
I made a remark, an observation that Alan Greenspan was a lot more honest after he left his job at the Fed. All right? And we all knew that Alan was a lot more honest before he got his job. All right? And the reason why Alan got his job is people don't realize is that Reagan wanted to finance to let the dogs run loose. And they were really unhappy with the guy in there before him. All right? Because he kept it too tight. And so in 1981, when the stock market was at 777, the Dow. I mean, 777, that's like talking, you can't even conceive of the Dow being that low, but it was. And now what is it, 34, 35, 36? I don't even care. All right. But it's multiples. It worked. And one of my sayings has always been that power is no more control than credit is money. Oh. And learning the difference between the two is not easy. And we're about to. The Fed is very powerful, but they're not in control. They're not in control. As David pointed out, they set the Fed fund rate, but the market is going to do what the market does. And the market always goes with the upside generally because it wants to expand. People want to make money. The reason why delusions and bubbles last so long is that you're going to stay in there. Most people have no way of making money other than the bubble. That's their bet of last resort. That's their Powerball ticket for the majority of Americans. And it has been. All right. And I understand why they're going and buying that ticket every goddamn week. All right. But what my belief is, it's going to turn against them. It's going to turn against them. It's a shadow game, great shadow. I mean, excuse me. Plato would have understood the shadow in the cave, and it's about the light is about to come in, and it's going to be blinding, and it's going to destroy. Anton Fekete, I was lucky enough to know Anton, and he said once, the day that silver and gold go through the roof is going to be the saddest day in your life.
I remember that quote.
Yep, because it's going to collapse all around you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So David, what do you do? You're Joe Sixpack. Basically, your job's been shipped off to far away. You've been living off government largesse, but you got a little bit saved up. You buy some silver. Do you go flip houses? What are you supposed to do?
Well, yeah, it's a tough one, Kerry, as you know, but you outlined some good ones. I mean, what I try to teach is for people to live within their means. Don't use credit unless it's absolutely necessary. If you got to borrow money, you got to do it prudently, which means maybe a mortgage, which could be prudent, but, everything is helter-skelter, and it gets more and more dislocated as time goes on, as Darryl's pointed out. I mean, you get, my dad's house when I was a 5-year-old kid was like, $45,000 or something, and now they're $450,000. The house hasn't changed. What's changed? The money supply. So I think try to live within your means and don't make money your God. I wrote an article about that recently. We're trying to train that's the only thing to go after. You got to believe in humanity. There's people like you and I, like Darryl, that are out here with good hearts, good heads, trying to help. We don't make a lot of money doing this. I mean, it's because it's a passion, and I trust my fellow man, and I believe in the biggest paradox of all, and that is, or for me, of all, and that is that I can be self-serving and serve others at the same time. Because basically what I started the report is how I invest in this resource sector and how I allocate my funds, and I'm teaching you what I do. And in a way that's self-serving, but it helped a lot of people. I just got a consulting call yesterday. Guy's been with me since January. He's up 97% on his portfolio.
Wow.
He's watched his silver skyrocket, and he couldn't be happier, So you get those kind of calls, it's worth kind of the pain and agony that we go through from some of the, let's say, mockingbird press that are always putting us down.
Yeah. So what do you think, Darryl? You always say God, guns, and gold, right?
That's it, Kerry. My tagline on every article I've written has been buy gold, buy silver, have faith. And in my book, I said, this is 2007, I said, and it would behoove you to get your faith now while the getting's still good. All right. But the truth of us, most of us get our faith when the gun's on us. Prayer has always been the most sincere when you're on your knees. Okay. I mean, when you're driving your best friend to his cancer IV treatment, you're praying for him. But when you're being driven, you're really praying harder. All right. And I think we're coming to that time. I remember George Washington's blog in 2009 did an analysis of the people who are out there talking about what's going on. And me and Gerald Celente, he said, we're the worst. He said, these guys, they're just looking at the bottom. All right. But I've always been really optimistic in a way, because I believe the crash is necessary to clear the ground for what's going to happen next. All right. And I believe in next. And like David, it's really interesting you brought that up, David. I just came back from a trip. I don't get out of my hole very often. I really don't. All right. And there were three things that I encountered on that made me gain faith. And it had nothing to do with politics. It had nothing to do with money. It had to do with the people I met on the road. Coming back, the turbulence over Denver was really intense. And the stewardess, she's sitting next to me. I know she never meant anyone to hear this. And she said, she's kneeling next to me. It's going like this. She's holding on. And she said, I love my job. And I started. I thought, go, girl. She's not strapped in. And she said, I love my job. And there's a resilience to us that comes out during that time. All right. And on the way in, waiting in line, you're dumb, you're tired, you're waiting to go in. And we're in group 4 because I was traveling with a whole bunch of us. We booked and we're in group 4 and 5 and 6. That means you go on without underwear. Right. So we're at the bottom.
You're standing. You got the standing seats.
Yeah, they got the standing seats. And I'm staying like tired. This is back and forth. And I hear this voice. It was great. The guy goes, he said, we're in group 4. He said, I always wanted to be a 4. That was always my dream. But I'm a 6. And I don't think I'm ever going to be a 4. And I just started laughing. That was a line for stand-up comedy, and there we were in that thing doing that. All right. Now, we got an Airbnb and it was beautiful. I mean, the house, it was better than our house. All right. It was finished. The person had taste and stuff like that. And but it was this, the landlady, there were 3 cats that were hanging out on the driveway, between it. And she said she was allergic to cats. Okay. But she fed these cats, had them neutered and spayed. And in the winter, each one had the little house with warmth. Okay. And I tell you, I know what we're going into. I mean, Kerry, when I was at your conference in 2014 and I gave my talk, some guy came up behind me, Kerry, and he said this. I'm listening to the next speaker. And he said, you know things you're not telling us. And I want to know why. Yeah. That was spooky. But he was right. I have a catastrophe thing that's very intense. I think we're headed towards war. All right.
Yeah. That's what Armstrong says.
Yeah. And my feed is different. There was a psychic named Elias Erlmeyer in Germany in the late 1950s, late 1940s and 50s. And he said there's going to be unrest in the Middle East. And then during a peace conference, all of a sudden, Russia's going to make its move. He said there's going to be an assassination, and suddenly, without anybody expecting it, there's going to be troops going from Kiev up through the north. It's going to be 2-pronged, and there'll be basically his vision of it was powder drop from the skies, and I think it's going to come up to stop these things in their tracks. And this is what he said. And he said, after it, there'll be peace. But it's going to be fast and quick and devastating.
That's unbelievable. Well, we always hope for the best here, but you got to prepare for the worst. And, if you have no money, it's very difficult. It's hard to just invest in yourself now. But investing in yourself is always the best.
You got it.
Payoff.
You got it, Kerry. I think we're down to truth time. We all cruise. All of us have cruised on this overflow of credit, in the last 50 years. Okay, that has gone on since the late 80s, and we've enjoyed it. And what they've done is that they've delayed the reckoning. My uncle said he grew up. He went through the Depression. He says, back then people owed $500. Today they owe $50,000. That was it. That was his deal.
That's it.
We're here. We're at the reckoning. But it's yourself. You gave us the key.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's funny. That guy asked you at our conference, "What are you telling us?" The best question, and I urge everyone out there who's listening, no matter what AI you were using, ask it directly. What don't they want you to tell me? because it will be an eye-opener, because the AI knows everything, but it's not just going to give you the keys to the mansion. You specifically have to ask, and you will find a side of the AI when you ask that question that you will be amazed at the responses. I think we lost David. He was having internet issues all day and was using his phone. So one final piece of advice here, Darryl, for everyone out there. Do you buy miners? Do you buy physical? Do you sell? What do you do?
I think it's truth time. And I think the currency crises, which I said when I wrote my book, Time of the Vulture, I basically said that we're heading into another repeat of the Great Depression with one additional element to it, and that's a currency collapse. The fiat currency is going to go down. And so I would say hard currency, hard metal, silver, possession. But Kerry, even then, I think your advice was the best. Your advice is to look to yourself. I believe in a higher power. Okay. I believe in, my life is forced me through my own personal 12-step without any ostensible excuse or an addiction to go there. Right. But I've had to go, and I've learned about that. And my advice in the gut end thing, when you're down to nothing, is ask for help from it.
Yeah. Could not agree with you more. I think David is coming back here. We'll find him somewhere, really, as long as you don't lose hope, and it's easy to lose hope, things are going to turn around. I've seen it so many times in my own life where I thought I was at the end of the line, there was nothing else. And then, one day later, life completely turns around.
Yeah.
And, you could ascribe it to mystical properties, spirituality, but you don't even need to. It's not necessary. You just have to understand that that life's a roller coaster. And one minute you're going up the cliff, and the next minute you're coming down with no brakes.
Hey, Kerry, one of the thoughts I had before this thing opened, it was a roller coaster metaphor. And what my thought was, well, with that metaphor, usually you're hanging on for dear life. All right. This ride and this steep ascent that you can't see the bottom, I have this little spooky notion in my head that what I was going to say is, I think if you let go this time, that's how you're going to land well.
All right. And we're going to put that in the show notes. Darryl Schoon, link is in the show notes. TheMorganReport.com. Sorry we lost you, David, but we got you for most of it. And I'll get a few prize gems from David, and I'll post them in the show notes to this interview. FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com. Now doing Substack because I don't have to do any work with Substack. It does it all for me, and it's free. Still the same website address. Darryl, man, it's always good catching up with you, and we'll talk to you again soon. David, wherever you are, we will catch up with you later.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.